Hey, hi, it's Hunter. Happy New Year. I'm just doing the thing I normally do, which is explain how the Star Wars opener went down. Because I love doing these. I love explaining how I do things. I also love telling people how to do things. So if you guys want me to do more tutorials, please let me know. So let's get right into this. First, disclaimer. This version isn't finished for some reason. So what I ended up having to do was I had to cheat a little bit, and I had to render the whole opening segment with the finished vectoring and everything, because some of these areas don't have the vectors for some reason. But the parts that don't have them aren't really that important. It's just conversation segments. So who cares? Anyway, I cheated a little bit, and I actually pulled this opening bit from the last review, and that's why I won't be able to do the X-Wing flyby bit that I normally explain. X-Wing. It's only on screen for a few frames, so yeah. And then we have Long Time Ago and a parody Far, Far Away. So I wanted to shorten the opening by a lot, so we ended up with the Clone Wars logo, or in this case, the Star Horse Hunter Reviews logo, which was actually easier to do than you might think. Basically, what I ended up doing was I cheated a little bit, and I took in the original Clone Wars logo, I stripped out the word wars down here, replaced it with horse, very, very carefully by creating an outline with my Star Wars font and lining it up ever so carefully and perfectly so that it didn't look weird. Left the star up there, stripped out the Clone Wars and replaced it with Hunter Reviews. The word "the" up there got completely erased, just moved the bar over it so that it's just not there anymore. And then just stretched the word Hunter Reviews to fit inside the box so that it looked pretty good. And it came out really nice. I'm proud of this one. I'm going to keep using this logo from now on for all of the Star Wars reviews. And I do want to do more Star Wars reviews, mostly because I love going all out with these great big opening segments. Anyway, then we get into it. This shot is a CG shot from the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. But if you look carefully at it, you could actually see where I did a whole load of photoshopping. The lines start to reveal themselves like around there, almost. I'm not sure if you could see the mouse, but oh yeah, you can. They appear around there, almost. And there's some more over here. What I did was I took this shot, I CG'd out all the AT-ATs and all the infantry running around so that there was just nothing here. It was just empty, except for obviously the little defense turrets dotting the back there, the ion cannon way up in the mountains, and the bunker over here. You know, just get rid of all of the evidence that there is an actual battle going on, and just keep the bunker pieces. Damn it, this is really good coffee. Anyway, then we got this shot from within the aluminum Falcon.
What do you got there, a latte? You have the hazelnut macchiato? Change your life.
This one, this Spike voice line isn't from the clip that I normally do. It is from Robot Chicken. It's Is this bit where the Death Star is still under construction. I, for some reason, really like that voice for Spike. I don't know why. It just works out really, really well. Also, it's just plain fun. Anyway. This shot was actually an entire AT-AT, just zoomed in really, really close to reveal just the foot. Alright, so this version of the AT-AT is called the AT-MMT, which is the all-terrain Mickey Mouse transport, as opposed to its real Star Wars counterpart, the AT-AT, the all-terrain assault transport. The only difference between the two of them is that this one has big Mickey Mouse ears. Otherwise, there is discernibly zero difference. And the way I was able to get all the shots of the AT-MMT from whole load of different angles. I needed a lot of different angles of this. Was I went into Gary's mod, found a green screen room. Then I just took 2 dinner plates, painted them metal, and welded them to the heads of an AT-AT model. And then just went to town on that with that whole bunch of different angles. Used the poster mode so that I could actually get decent sized screenshots with that. Because otherwise you're shooting JPEGs. Never use JPEGs when you're trying to green screen something. Oh my god. See? I told you he'd call. The song playing here, I used the same effect as the ringtone from the previous review, only this time it's the song Remember the Canterbury from, you may have heard it if you watched our Expanse review. I highly recommend you watch our Expanse review. I am very proud of that review. But yeah, it's just a sort of callback to that review. And then we have Mickey Mouse here.
You may sound smug now, but I'm advancing towards your base, Cloney boy! Hoo-hoo!
Alright, this version doesn't have it, but it'll, but the review does. It'll have the AT-AT footsteps were playing somewhere along these 2 audio tracks, like alternating. I could only really put in 2 because otherwise it would just sound ridiculous. I'm not entirely sure of the top speed of an AT-AT, but the AT-MM6 is no faster. Maybe even a little slower because it's hauling around those giant ears. But also you'll notice in the background there, it's slowly moving forward on the background. That's because it's very slowly, and I do mean very slowly, zooming in. And this actually continues on from the, in the next shot here, it picks up where that one left off and keeps zooming in. Just so there's like some sense of progress and it's not like that one scene in Monty Python. Monty Python Holy Grail. You know the one. Yeah, that just keeps zooming in for a while. Then we have more conversation bits here. The background is actually a shot from a CG image from inside of an AT-AT, because what else would I use? There are actually images online where this bit in the middle is just green, and you could green screen whatever you want in there, and that's what's going on here. The only problem is some of the green didn't quite make it out, because the green screening was a little bit more complicated this time around. Also, there was one shot where I wanted it to be facing inward, towards the inside of the AT-ATs, but I could never find one. It is surprisingly difficult to find a shot like that. Like it facing the opposite direction of this. But then we have he turns around here. This is just a regular Darth Vader, just zoomed in on the head a whole lot, and with black dinner plates on the head there. Alright, then we get this shot, which I'm particularly proud of. This is actually the work of several different layers, because you have the little snowy hills up the front here, way down the bottom there. Then you have the mountains in the background. And then behind even that, you have the sky. So there's a lot of layers going on here. Like, this is the epitome of what layering looks like. And then somewhere in the middle of all that, we have our little hammerhead cruiser. Now, the mind-blowing part about this whole review, or this whole segment, and I'm surprised no one called me out on this. It's absolutely just astounding where I found this particular model. This is a Spore ship. Someone built this in Spore, and I CG'd it into our review here at a whole bunch of different angles. It looks fantastic. Like, look at this thing. Like I showed this to the people on our Discord, our op group, which is sort of they might as well be staff at this point, and I was like, ask me where this ship came from. And they were like, where? Spore! You're joking, right? It looks phenomenal. It's crazy how good it came out. Anyway, then we have the cardboard backdrop scene, which is this just sort of has the pre-rendered squeeze effect, where it just sort of falls down. We got some nice sound effects going on. This is a cardboard backdrop. Most of those sound effects come from Fallout 3, if you can believe it, as well as the metal slamming into metal sound effects. It's actually the sound of a missile slamming into metal. And you'll notice that the ATMMT has stopped here. At one point, it was supposed to stop. And then there... Actually, no, it was this shot where it was supposed to start it. They start charging up the lasers. Because for whatever reason, the Empire likes to get in position first and then charge up their weapons. Then we have this shot. Then this particular shot was them flying over the ground here, which was just a simple pan shot over this very dirty image of snow as it just goes across there. Zoomed in as far as I could so I could get as much distance out of it as possible. Like, we're going real fast. And then at one point, the ship sort of pans down, like we're headed over a different direction. And then it actually flies through the window there. Originally, I was going to have it go behind the ATMMTs, but cinematically, that would have been lame. That would have been lame. And then we got Hunter bragging in this particular shot about how the biggest part of this particular opening segment was using Disney's own rules of engagement against them. So what I did, basically, was I recreated the Battle of Hoth, but with the Hammerhead Cruiser. Because, like, if the Hammerhead Cruiser can ram a Star Destroyer into another Star Destroyer, it can ram an AT-AT and cause it to fall over. And we actually have this scene from Rogue One just to really drive the point home. And then we had the explosion scenes, which was... These were particularly poorly put together, in my opinion. There was no effective way that I could have made this look good, except with the explosion effects. And then just sort of impacts right here with a tiny explosion gif. It just sort of falls over. And then once it falls over, the ship picks up speed again. Then there was this shot. I hate this shot. This is the worst shot in the whole opening segment. I hate it. It's the one where they have to run down 4 AT-ATs, but I couldn't actually edit this properly, because Sony Vegas has a really hard time rendering stuff if there's a lot on screen or like it gets too crazy, and apparently I thought this was extremely crazy. So my frame rate looks like this. Now that's like 1 frame per second. I can turn the preview down to draft quarter and get this pixelated mess. But as you can see, it's not much better. It just had a very hard time showing me a preview of that. Bring it back to preview full. So I had to go frame by frame, and I am not proud of the Venetian blinds effects for the AT-ATs falling over. I am not proud of that effect at all. If I could have found a better way to do this, I would have. Trouble is, I'm still not an expert on green screening with video, so that would have if I could have found a way to do that via the Gary's Mod green screening, I absolutely would have. But I'm still not an expert on that. This shot, however, I am. This shot's nice. I like this one, where it sort of flies in to the side here, slams into it, and then flies back up. All the AT-AT sound effects came from Star Wars Empire at War. Empire at War has a fantastic Star Wars sound bank, if you want to tap into that. And then we have this shot. I love this shot.
Unlimited power!
Lyra is voiced by the Necromancer in Borderlands 2, who was voiced by I don't remember her name, but she's very talented. I'll give her that. I thought that voice would be fantastic for Lyra. It perfectly fits the mood here. And just some of the new vectors for Lyra. Just some of these new vectors. I really love this particular vector for Lyra. That's probably my new favorite vector. Then we have it flying up, ramming these Gozanti class cruisers. This shot of the Hammerhead was the like engine shots for this ship were the only things I had to like really go in and do a bit of effects on, because otherwise we would just be looking at like a piece on the Spore ship. So what I did was I raised the brightness of these engine plumes a little bit, just so it looks like it's like an actual engine. And then we go in and we ram these Gozanti cruisers. Just wham, smack backwards, and then it falls down onto another one. They both slam into the ground. There's a great big explosion, and for some reason it doesn't like rendering that either. See the frame rate on that particular explosion effect, and this was the one time this explosion, this effect worked out, because it has this obnoxious white crap all around it, but otherwise it looks pretty okay. But it worked out here because of all the snow. And for some reason, I wasn't able to get ears on this one, sadly. But for some reason, it has no trouble rendering all the stormtroopers running away. And there is one Sith trooper in there, yes. There he is. So I CGI'd a Sith trooper into this, and this was actually rendered together. The opening segment was rendered together before the new movie was out. So I don't know how they got their hands on that vector, but there it is. But the audio is from the aforementioned Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and I tried to get a whole bunch of different stormtroopers here. Like we have the Flame Trooper. There's the I don't know. I guess is a shock trooper. The guys from the Last Jedi with the big weird shock batons. I don't remember what they were, but we also have like this guy, which was. These guys are like this particular guy is what reminds me most of a snow trooper, and because they got like the big boots, they got like the coat, and it's mostly the helmet though, really, isn't it? They look most like snow troopers. That's also why the flame troopers are here. They kind of look like snow troopers. We also have some standard guys like this dude, just some regular First Order armor, or say, for example, this guy, again, standard First Order armor. I wanted the First Order armor to be the armor of the Disney Army, because it, like, that's what fit the best with them, because they sort of designed that particular armor. And they all got kitty faces, too, so I get to make fun of that. Just make fun of the kitty face stormtrooper armor. Not a lot of people notice that, but I can't unsee it. I can't not see the kitty face. The armor on the new guy isn't much better either. Look, it's still got the kitty face. It might have this bit in the middle, but red armor? Seriously? That just looks ridiculous. I'm sorry, but it does. And then we have this shot. Mickey's looking left and right. The ATMMT's moving forward again, because they're trying to get something done here as everybody's running away. This background shot, by the way, I think it's actually from the movie. I don't know. I just Googled AT dead or something along those lines, and I found this. The resolution isn't great, but it served its purpose. He's just looking around here, and he realizes, oh god, he's coming right at us. And then it looks like the ram didn't actually make it in. It was basically the same shot as this, but with a forward-facing walker. It was just basically that same effect. It sort of flies away. Then we have the big conversation bit between Mickey and Hunter. Again, they didn't make it into this particular... You know what? Hang on. I need something to talk about here. Because, like, I made it. Here it is. Let's just use the preview video. This is the whole segment rendered together with everything. Anyway, so, yeah, it's just the same shot as before with a couple of sparks going off, and there's some snow in the background, which I zoomed in really close on because at this point the walker's on the ground and its face is in the dirt, so it would be close to the ground at this point. It's basically the same thing we have been doing, but just the cockpit is sideways. There was no way I was going to be able to get rid of the guys back here, so I just sort of left them there. They're not really taking that much away from it anyway. Then we have the standard opening. Hunter reviews Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. One of my most anticipated reviews of the year. Maybe even my most anticipated. Haven't really decided. I'm very proud of how this segment came out. Aside from obviously all the ramming maneuvers. The goal here was to recreate the Battle of Hoth following the rules of Rogue One, which worked out insanely well, in my opinion. This logo, I love how the logo came out. I didn't particularly push the envelope too far on this review. Every now and then I like to do something crazy to try and push my editing skills to their limits, maybe even beyond their limit. And I didn't really do that here in this review. But who knows, maybe next time I will find some way to do that. Anyway, that's how it came together.